What's good, Chaotic Nation? It is your boy Chaos here, and today we are back to our ranking type videos. We are now ranking today our legendary Pokemon in a Pokemon franchise. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Hope you guys will join me as we look at these legendary Pokemon and rank them in tiering format on what I think is the worst and what I think is the best. So let's go over the rankings here. You have E tier, D tier, C tier, B tier, A tier, and S tier. Starting at the top, it's going to be the best. At the bottom is going to be the worst. And we're going to go start from bottom to the top, see how we find these legendary Pokemon. And I'm going to give a little bit of details on each one as we go along and through this process. So let's start out with the E tier. We have Moltres, Regice, Registeel, Regigigas, Virizion, and Terrakion. Now, these Pokemon I just don't really care for. Moltres has made me mad because I obviously had that little thing with the shiny hunting of it. It's just not a good Pokemon. 4 times weak to Stealth Rocks. If I want to use a Fire Flying type, that's a legendary. I'm going to use a Ho-Oh instead because it actually can be useful. So, that's just me. Regice and Registeel I've never liked because they just blow up in my face when I find them in randomizers. And they're just really annoying. And I don't want to have to deal with them. Regigigas has the worst ability in existence with slow start, and I don't like it for that reason. Yeah, it can be useful, but I don't like using that slow start ability. Virizion is very frail, although being very, very powerful as well. It is still very frail, 4 times weak to flying, and I don't want to have to deal with that. And then you got Terrakion, and this one, it's not that I don't like it. It is powerful, and it is probably the best sword of justice competitively, but I just don't like it. I never have used it, and I never really cared to try to use it, so I'm just gonna it's just gonna sit down here in E tier, and it can stay there. It also kind of looks funky, and it looks like a bulldog, but it's not. Just no. Next up, we got D tier. Now these ones are slightly better, and in this tier we have Articuno, Zapdos, Lugia, Entei, Raikou, Groudon, Regirock, Kyurem, Cobalion, and Lunala. Now, I do like Zapdos and Articuno. However, their shinies do suck. They're not the best competitively. Well, Zapdos can be useful, but Articuno's not good competitively. Zapdos doesn't have a wide moveset to make it useful, and I just don't like it for that reason. Lugia is a really cool Pokemon, one of the first legendaries I actually started using in a playthrough, because I had Pokemon Soul Silver when I was a kid. But I wish it were a water type. I think that's why I put it so low on this list. It really should be like a water psychic type, if anything. So yeah, I don't like it for that reason. Entei and Raikou, they're okay. They're just not legendaries that I care for. I didn't really like the Entei in the third movie. Raikou really hasn't been around too much for me to say yes or no to it. I also don't like these two Pokemon because they were extremely hard, and I remember battling them in Pokemon Coliseum to try to catch them as a Shadow Pokemon, and that was never a fun time because these things were very powerful and always put down my team. Groudon, I really don't like a whole lot. It's there. It's a ground type, which is what I would expect it to be, but it's just something. I just don't care for it. I really don't. I really just don't care for it. Regirock is a little bit higher than its other Regis, just because I've used it before. I think it actually has some competitive viability, sitting there like a tier 5 Mon in Draft League. Yeah, it still can blow up in your face, but I think it just has a wider move pool and it's more useful than the other two forms. Kyurem, it's interesting. It's a really cool battle in Super Mystery Dungeon. However, I think it's better when it's powered up with one of the other two forms, like either Kyurem Black or Kyurem White. I think it looks better that way. Also, we have a Cobalion up here. I just like it a little bit more. The shiny's a little bit cooler. That's the only reason. I like the design, looks better, and I liked how it acted in the Swords of Justice movie. And last but not least, in this tier, we have Lunala. I don't like the typing of it. I think a 4 times weakness to Dark is not fun, and it just doesn't seem very useful to me. I mean, yeah, it's very powerful, but it doesn't seem very useful to me. One thing I need to clear up before we go any farther in this video is the Pokemon like Kyurem and Necrozma that have other forms like Kyurem Black or Ultra Necrozma. I'm only using their base form before, so don't expect to see Ultra Necrozma or those kinds of Pokemon on this list. It's just the regular legendary as they usually appear. Next up, we got the C tier sitting in the middle, and we got a bunch of Pokemon sitting in this tier. We have Latios and Latias, the Eon duo. We have the Lake Trio. We got Heatran, Necrozma, and the Tapus. Now, I don't really... Again, these are just kind of Pokemon. They're kind of cool, but they're just kind of just there. So that's really all I gotta say about all of these. The Tapus are kind of interesting in that they control like a little island, and I like that lore about them, but I just don't like really using them. Because they'll have something that I don't like about them, like either the terrain helps out your opponent too much, the terrain stops certain kinds of moves and certain kinds of play styles, or they just don't have a move pool. So it's one of those things. Necrozma I just haven't used, so I can't say much about it. Heatran, again, I haven't really used, and it's also 4 times weak to ground, which makes it run an air balloon, and that's, yeah. The Lake Trio, yeah, they're not the best. I'd rather like run something like Cresselia instead of these Pokemon. And the Eon Duo, they're just kind of, they're interesting, but they're just there, really. We got the B tier, and this has got a bunch of Pokemon in it. A bunch of really cool Pokemon in it. We got Suicune, Kyogre, Palkia, Giratina, Cresselia, Thundurus, Tornadus, Zygarde, and Solgaleo. Now, Suicune is definitely my favorite legendary dog. I think it's the most useful. It's got a really nice move set. It's also very bulky and can be a good defensive mon. The bulky waters are always really fun, and I've always really liked this thing. And I think it has stood out from Entei and Raikou just because like it is the crystal mascot. So I'm gonna give the edge. I'm gonna give Suicune this higher spot on the list just because I think it's a better Pokemon. Got Kyogre. I do prefer Kyogre over Groudon. I think the water typing is on this thing is just cool. The primal Kyogre I think is better anyway. Being able to set up rain to use thunder on other water types, it makes this thing worthwhile to use, and it's a very interesting Pokemon. Palkia was my legendary. I got Pearl, so I've usually used Palkia. And I really like the Water Dragon typing. I think it's a really powerful typing, being really not weak to anything besides Fairy now. I think it's a really cool typing to have. But Palkia, it doesn't make the best use of it, and it's kind of just there, but it's still a really cool Pokemon. I really do enjoy it. Next up is Giratina. Again, this Pokemon's got a great bit of lore behind it, and I just think that's amazing. I love the double forms of this thing, whether it's Origin or the regular form. I think they're both really cool. I love the typing, and it's just a really cool Pokemon. Cresselia is a Pokemon I've used before. Very tanky, very good defensive psychic type that has been amazing in Draft League, so I really do enjoy this thing as well. Tornadus and Thundurus. Now, these Pokemon, I know how good they are, and that's why they're up here. I know that they can be useful in many situations. You run a lot of different things. Pranksters, ability they get, and it's very interesting to see people run that. But I haven't used these Pokemon too much. I just think they're kind of interesting in how they work. Zygarde, I think it's really overpowered, especially with the power construct ability. I like the design of this thing. I love it shiny. I think it looks amazing. I always love my toothpaste shiny. I just don't like its accessibility in the game. I think it should have been in Gen 6 if it's a Gen 6 Legendary. So I wish they would have done that. And then you have Solgaleo. I did pick Sun and Ultra Sun, both of them. I think the Steel Psychic types are very cool typing. I think it works really well. I think it's always been a great typing to have. And I always will pick this thing. It's got really cool moves, really good ability and full metal body. And it just works really well. Next up, we got the A tier. These are just slightly out of the S ranking, but they're still really cool Pokemon I like to use. So you got Ho-Oh. Of course, I've done a showdown live with Ho-Oh. I think it's a really cool Pokemon, very powerful legendary with a great bulk behind it. Because, again, when you're fighting legendaries, rock types are not going to be very common. I mean, unless you're fighting a Regirock or a Terrakion, you're really not going to have too much to worry about here. Ho-Oh's got a nice regenerator ability that makes it very useful. It's very tanky, and I just like this Pokemon. Dialga, very powerful Pokemon. A great Pokemon to always have because it's very cool typing. Dragon Steel is very good. Making it really only weak to fighting and ground type moves, and I think that's just amazing. I just really like the the typing of this thing. And I also like the temporal Dialga from the Mystery Dungeon games. I think that was really cool, even though it was a challenge I have never ever beat. So it'll be interesting to see. Next up, we got the Reshiram and Zekrom. I like both of these. I think the Unova Dragons are two of the best legendary pairings that we've seen. Obviously, we got another one to talk about here in a minute. But these two Pokemon, both really cool. It made it really hard to choose which one of these games I wanted to play, because I love the electric type and I love the fire type. So these two Pokemon being Dragon and then either electric or fire, respectively, makes them both really cool Pokemon that I wanted to use. I think I've ended up playing both White and Pokemon Black at some point. So I really do enjoy both of these Pokemon, and they've been quite fun to use. And I like their storyline in the game. Now, for their movie, it's not so great. I wish they just made one with both of them in it, instead of just the same movie with the other one doing what the other one did in the other one. That made sense, because it's basically just a storyline around Reshiram, and then if you want to do the other version, it's a story based around Zekrom, but it's the exact same story. Like, it's just make it different, please. Next up is Landorus, and you guys know I love my Lando T. I love my Calrissian. Very cool Pokemon. Very different sets you can run. Offensive, defensive. Good pivot Pokemon. It's just a really cool Pokemon that I've always really enjoyed. So I think it's the best out of the three of the Legendary Genies. And I give it just a little bit higher spot here. And we have another really good Legendary pairing in Xerneas and Yveltal. I think these Pokemon both are really cool. I love the Oblivion Wing move from Yveltal. I think it's really awesome. Also, its height is insane, because it's like 16 or 17 feet tall, which is amazing. Xerneas, a pure fairy type, very tanky, can do a lot of different things. Geomancy is really interesting, and I love the lore between these two, Life and Death. I think those are two really good opposites to play with, and I think they work really well within the Kalos games. So I really like these two, and I've used both of them in different situations, and they both have worked really well. And finally, we got the S tier, and you should know which ones are going to be up here. We got my two favorite Pokemon of the Legendary tier, and that is Mewtwo and Rayquaza. Mewtwo is just the OG Legendary. You gotta love Mewtwo. I've used this thing literally every time I possibly can. It's got an interesting shiny with a green tail. It's got really good usage in Smash. It's got good usage in Pokken. This thing is just literally everywhere. It's the poster child for Legendaries, and I obviously really love it. I love the lore behind Mewtwo more than anything, though. And the words of wisdom it speaks in the first movie were a lot for a kid to understand. But I really have enjoyed like re-watching that movie and learning about the lore and understanding what Mewtwo actually had to say in that movie. And then you got Rayquaza. Now I just love this thing. Again, I played Emerald first out of the Hoenn games, so I think this one is amazing. I love the Dragon and Flying typing on this thing. For some reason, it's just amazing to me. I love the color green, so that's why it's up there. And the shiny is absolutely sick. It's great. This thing is very powerful too. It's like the best Pokemon in the game. And so I just gotta give this to Rayquaza. It's a really cool giant green snack thing, dude. How can you not love it? Like how can you not love Rayquaza? It's just a great Pokemon. Well guys, that is my tier list. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below, and also subscribe for more content from me. I do a lot of different types of Pokemon videos. If you guys are watching this the weekend it comes out, we have a new series going live a new series going live this week on Tuesdays and Thursday. Make sure you come out and check that out. We have videos going up every day, at least this month and next month. So we'll see about later after that, but we're gonna have videos every day for at least those couple days and at least those couple months. And it's been a lot of fun to work with you guys today. It's been a lot of fun to make this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Feel free to let me know what your favorite Legendary Pokemon that we covered on this tier list is down below in the comment section. If you want to tell me where I am different from your opinions and what tiers things should be in, like a Pokemon should be in, please let me know in the comments. It's interesting to see what you guys have to say. And of course, you can make your own tier video by yourself if you want to. It'd be lovely to see what you guys have to come up with. But I'm going to wrap it up here. Make sure you go follow me on my social media. It's there on the screen, both Twitter, Discord, and Twitch at Chaos6. Feel free to check it out. And I'll see you guys next time for some more content from me. So until then, my name is Chaos, and I am signing off. Stay safe, and as always, burn it up.